Okay, today we're going to have a bit of an easy repair, but I want to just make this video for education purposes because it's a very common issue. I have a couple of videos on this already, but this is going to be a dedicated one just to this particular problem. So this is an actual all-original, unmolested Wells Gardner K7400, and when I mean original, I mean all original. Original caps, original everything. Not only that, it's a super low hour K7400. And I can tell because if you look at the neck board here, it is not heat damaged or discolored at all in any way, shape, or form. There's no heat damage or discoloration anywhere on this. This thing is a very low hour 7400. And if we look at the back here, let me, if I was good at making videos, I'd have this prepared here. Let's cut this off and look at the back here. Well, this is broken. These are broken. But it does work. But if you just look here at the neck board where the transistors are normally cause heat, it's not discolored at all in any way, shape, or form. It's really, truly amazing and unbelievable. I can't recall ever having one of these, unless it was new old stock, that looks like this. I think this might even have been a new old stock one, I don't know. But the history behind this, I do have to fix this, but that's no problem. If you notice, this one's a lot higher, so somebody must have hit this or bumped it at some point and someone did a quick fix. But the history behind this is this came out of a dedicated Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 UMK3 machine, and this was at a friend's house, and he messaged me and said, hey, my monitor died. I was like, okay, well, no problem. So I brought him a replacement chassis and took this one out, and it turns out that when I went over there to actually inspect it, we turned the machine on and I heard it come on. I had high voltage energization, I had neck glow, it was nice and bright. It was working, but the image was black. So I turned up the flyback, the screen pot, and lo and behold, I had an image. But it was all completely black and white. And I turned up contrast, I turned up brightness, and the only way I could get an actual image was to turn up the screen pot on the flyback, like 75%. Then I got the image. So hearing that it energized and was operating and had good neck glow, I knew the chassis was operational. I thought it was very odd that it was just a black screen. I turned up brightness contrast, still black screen, turned up flyback, and boom, there I had my image. But it was completely black and white. Now, as I've mentioned before, we know exactly what causes that. And it's 9 out of 10 times, it's R811. And on the 7400, R811 is, let's grab this. R811 is this guy right here. Right there, R811. Guarantee with 100% certainty. Well, I guess 90% certainty, since I said 9 out of 10 times it's this, but sometimes it can be the U500 chip on the neck board. Sometimes this chip here can go bad and cause color issues or black and white stuff, but most of the time R811 is the culprit. This is always the first thing you want to check. So if we actually zoom out here and we go to R811, any chances it's going to read in the mega ohm? Let's see here. There we go. Okay. Now, test our leads. Always test your leads first to make sure that they're good so you don't get false readings. So one leg of R811, and here is the other leg right here. Right there. Yep. One bag, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.6, 1.7 mega ohms. That's not good. It is supposed to be between 50 and 100 K ohm, depending on the reversion of the chassis, or revision, if you will. If we look at the main board here, you'll see it says P736, and a lot of times it'll have a -F, a -M, a -H, a -J. So it depends on which revision you have. I don't see any other markings, so we'll just not worry too much about it. But our R811 is most likely completely and totally open. So without a functioning R811 in circuit, we will not have any color what's the word? Generation, any color generation whatsoever. So let's get rid of our remote board and let's go ahead and check the back side just to make sure. And it looks like it's going to be where'd you go? It's always hard to turn this around and find these darn things. Okay, so right here, this one and this one, and it is, yeah, there you go, 2.8 meg, 3 meg, 3.2 meg. So let's go ahead and get that sucker out of there. I just got to turn my fan on, get my iron going. And I was working on some other stuff earlier, and I thought I was done for the day. So I turned the iron off, and like I say, if I was any good at making videos, I would have already had it running. A lot of times I forget to turn it back on. I mean, while we're waiting here, look at the bottom here. I mean, this thing is untouched from the factory, in factory condition. It's really remarkable how something like this can survive this long with not being heavily used and not having any burn of any kind. It's just really phenomenal. So yeah, all right, so here we go. Let's did I turn this around? Should be right here. And right here. All right. If we're successful here, it should come right out. There we go. And I accidentally cut the arm or the leg. I shouldn't have done that, but that's okay. Not a big deal. We can still test it. I'm absolutely sure it's open. So if we go here and just it's always tough with this overhead light to not have the glare on there. Let's just go like let's just do that. Okay, so test our leads again, and we are 0.5. So if we test our resistor, there's one leg, there's the other, and we are absolutely open. 100% no doubt. So there's our problem. Black and white image, bad R811. And I've mentioned before as well that R811 is in different locations, whether it's a 7400, 7500, U2000, U5000. It's always going to be right here in this area. Sometimes it's over here, sometimes it's over here, sometimes it's over here. But depending on which version, 74, 75, 2000, 5000, it's always right here in this location. It's always clearly marked R811. So, I actually have a plethora of R811s. Just got to dig through my parts here, and I got a bag with parts for these chassis. Speaking of which, transfer these over to that. And I have, let's see, I got R104s, I got R303s for vertical collapse. I've got shutdown. I got B+ pots, I got shutdown pots, because these always have the glue on them. And I've got neck board pots, B+, oh, these are B+ pots here. These are the B+ pots for the vertical mount. But, and then we have a bag of R811s. I bought a whole bunch of them because that's a very common fault on here. So if we take one of these out of here, let's actually just put these back in here and get them out of the way. I got a bunch of switch mode power supply chips as well. It's been a while since I've come across some one of these chips being bad. You know, the switch mode power supply chip here, part for the power supply section. It's been a while since I've come across one that was actually bad, but I got a bunch here in stock in case I come across one that does, or is bad. So let's get rid of that. Alright, let's grab one of these R811s. And measure it, make sure it's, I just got the 75K. So right smack dab in the butter zone. That way it's applicable to any of these chassis, the 74, 75, 2000, 5000. All right. And let's measure it. And what do we have? 75K, right on the smack nosy. Right on the nose. 75.0, stupid meter lead. Get out of there. Look at that. Boom. 75K. Alright. Let's get this out of the way. And we will get this installed. I should add it's the same wattage and everything too, so. We'll put that in place, nice and pretty, just like that. And we'll bend our legs out so it stays in place. There we go. And it'd be nice if you could see what I'm doing. Sorry about that. Okay. Part of that pad disappeared, but that's okay. We'll just do that. That should be good. Alright, and let's check continuity for what we did here. This should go around to here. We're good there. This should come down to here. We're good there. What do we read on our meter for our two leads here? Where'd we go? Here we are. And it's still hot. 77K, 76.9, 76.8. Yeah, as it cools down. So yeah, I think we're good. So now let's touch up what we have going on here. Not quite sure. Oh, I see. The heat sink is not sitting all the way down on the transistor here. So let's see if we can make this a bit better. There we go. All right. I mean, there's not even the slightest hint of heat damage on here. It's really crazy. And yet we still have damage traces. That's just how it goes. So a little trick of the trade here, if the traces aren't too damaged, is we can actually, I'm just going to cut this off and replace it later. It's in the way. There we go. I'll put that on again later. A little trick of the trade here. Are we clear on all three? No, not really. Where did this go? Put that through. Okay. All right, a little trick of the trade here is to get some super glue and kind of glue these in place, because they're not damaged or broken, they're just lifted. So let's see if we can apply a little cyanoacrylate to this and get that to stay in place there. And we'll dab it in there. There we go. Make sure our hole is still open. Yep. Okay. So, yeah, we'll just hold that there for a second. This one here appears to be good. This one here is raised a bit slightly, but we'll toss some glue under there and call that good as well. Don't need a whole lot. We'll give that a minute or so to settle in there. Alright, now let's get this back in. See, that lifted it right up. It's not dry yet, but that's fine. Okay. I think that'll work. I do think that will work just fine. Look at that, absolutely perfect. Let's solder this in now. And now ideally, after we solder this in and clean it up, it should be secure. While we're at it here, let's reflow a little bit of this. So I still have to do a cap kit and a reflow because all the caps are original, and the bipolar cap, look, that 50 volt bipolar cap right there by the HOT, that seemed kind of iffy. It's very slightly a little bit bulged. So ideally what we would do here, I missed that one. I can't talk and solder at the same time. There we go. Alright, so now in theory you can see it's still perfect now, glorious. Let's make sure that none of our other transistors here are touching the heatsink. Get away from there, get away from there. Alright, that's good. Yeah, so that turned out real nice. So I still need to do a full cap kit and a full reflow like I always do. There's no real reason to show that. There's plenty of videos of people doing that. Maybe one day I'll just do a cap kit. Maybe a live stream or something. If you'd like to see a live stream of repairs or a cap kit or something easy like that, let me know, because it could be interesting. I don't really have a real setup to do a live stream, but maybe one day I could invest in it. So let's go ahead and clean this up. Sometimes you need to scrape a bit. Okay, I think that'll work. Not pretty, but the important thing is it secure? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, nice. So not pretty, but it'll work. Let's make sure we have good continuity. None of the traces broke. So we're going to go from here to here, here to here, and all the way through. Yep, here to here, here to here. Okay, let's get it on a picture tube and see if changing out R811 has brought this thing back to life. And before we forget, I don't think I've ever actually forgotten, but don't want to make this the first time. There we go. And the K7400 and the K7500 have a sub-contrast pot, which is right here. This little blue pot here is sub-contrast. I like to wipe it back and forth a bit just to kind of clean it, because it sits in one position for a long time. It can have bad effects on it. And then also I like to take all the pots. I used to put them all to center, but these series of chassis like to have them at about 1/3. Anything higher, they kind of go crazy. So I'll just wipe these back and forth a bunch of times. And the drive pots here I'll actually leave in the middle. They don't influence the color as much as the gain pots. So we'll put those in the middle, but the gain pots, you see they're already all about 30%. I'll wipe these back and forth. And instead of putting them at the halfway point, if we zoom in here, instead of putting these at, like, let's say right there, about the halfway point of travel, we're going to put them at about 30%. So if we turn this down and go right there's about 25. So we'll go right to about 30. And I usually put them about 30 because, like I say, anything above 30, it tends to just bleed and it overdrives it. So we'll start with all these at 30 and just see how it looks, give or take here. And then we can adjust our contrast and our regular normal contrast on our remote board here, along with our sub-contrast pot right here. And then assuming our tube is good, we don't need to adjust any of these anymore. You would want to adjust these if you have like too much red, too much blue. You would adjust these accordingly. But a good baseline is to start with them all about 30% and your drives here about 50. That's close enough, I guess. It's hard to get it perfect. All right, so now with that all being done, with all the work we've just done, let's hook this up and see if we get color and how it looks. Okay, all hooked up. Anode, neck, yoke, ground, video, power, remote. Did I say that remote twice? Anode, neck, yoke, ground, power, remote, video. So yeah, count to 7. Yeah, right now we're just checking to make sure that we have color. Not worried about shutdown pot, test point 201, B+, because it does work and function, it just had no color. So that's all we're worried about. So let's go ahead and turn it on and hopefully, oh, right now, I'm sorry, I forgot. In preparation here, I got contrast and brightness turned completely down. So let's go ahead and just see if we have color by turning up the flyback. And if we do, then we can adjust and everything and see how we get this to look. So let's go ahead and give this a try. 1, 2, 3. Okay, power's right up. That is good. And what do we have here? We got some kind of weird display thing happening here. Hey, there we go. Took a minute. An old tired old tube. I can see we have green already. Let's turn the flyback, because I mentioned before the flyback was basically all the way up to get any kind of image. And that's much better. And hey, look at that. Let's put it right about there. And turn up brightness to roughly there. So you don't want anything, you don't want any of that to be visible. So we go down to about there. Contrast. Hey, looking good. Let's acknowledge this. And awesome. So there you go. See, now I have contrast full tilt here. Contrast is up completely. And we are not bleeding. So we can actually adjust our sub-contrast here, which again was this pot right there. And hey, that's a lot better. Let's get a stable image here real quick. That's down, that's up. There's the bleeding. Right there's not bad. We're a bit too green. So let's turn our green down slightly. That looks pretty good right there. Hot dog. That looks real good. So there you go, quick and easy fix, R811. Off camera, I'll do the cap kit and the reflow and all the other repair work, and then we'll add this one to the list of completed repairs. So hopefully you learned something. Thanks for watching, and I got just a little preview here. I have an entire box of chassis to go through here. I think there's like 16 of them in here. So somebody sent me quite a bit to do. So I got 16 chassis in there, and then there's a box here with 4 more chassis in that one. So I think I have about 20 chassis here to go through. Sorry about the mess. I just tossed stuff on here. Nothing's being damaged or injured, of course. This is just my rubber mat that I have sitting here. So these all got to be repaired anyway. But yeah, so I got about 20 chassis here in the queue. So no end to the content in sight. And that's about it. So again, stay tuned here, and we have another one added to the list. So yeah, I appreciate it. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.